Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 7. We'll present our discussion with the topic is being an effective teacher. The member of Group 7 consists of 3 members. They are Hadi Putra, and then Arsan Halid, and myself, Erin Yupita. So let's start for the first, the role of teacher. Effective teachers have much in common with effective learners. We also build theories, make cases based on these theories, reflect on the result, and so learn. Our changing rule. The role of the English teacher in most Asian classrooms has been evolving more rapidly than often appears. This has been due to change in government or school policies, increasing training, parents' desire for their children to learn more communicative English, and sometimes indirect response to developments in educational theory and practice. Many who see the traditional teacher as the main obstacle on the pathway to a more child-centered learning environment are frustrated by the pace of change, often saying that nothing fundamental has changed at all, but there is no denying that change is happening. The children are changing and the family is changing. Children are less likely to live in fear of their teachers and are more likely to react if treated harshly or unfairly. The pace may vary from one country to another and from one social group to another, but sooner or later, in most teaching situations, almost all of us must question the old ways and adapt to the new realities. Defining our role. Opinions vary about what our relationship with the children should be. Controlling and facilitating. Controlling is teachers who use teacher-centered methods generally consider that children will not learn successfully unless the teacher is in control both of what they learn and of their behavior. While facilitating is facilitators tend to look at children as natural learners who will be successful as long as the teacher provides them with a stimulating learning environment. The debate between teacher-centered teachers and facilitators has been going on for many years. It's now generally accepted among mass educational psychologists that teachers have a key role to play in enriching the children's learning environment, particularly by intervening in games at key moments and by scaffolding the children's language ability. Perhaps teacher-centered teachers can claim success in getting children through exams, but they cannot claim success in getting them to communicate or become self-motivated, active learners of English. Helping actively. The teacher is not just a facilitator. The teacher may help to see our role as being active helpers. An active helper plan a lesson, has a good idea of what is going to happen in a lesson, and intervenes in order to direct the children's attention in directions what that will maximize their learning. However, each child is always the center of her own learning world. They don't learn through the teacher, but for herself, getting her energy from the fun she is having and her own curiosity, not from the teacher's pressure or emotional energy. Giving personal direction. Each of the children needs to be clear about what she has learned so far and feel that if she uses this knowledge to make guesses about the new English word and patterns she encounters, there is a good chance she will be successful. If we want to give as many of the children as possible this personal sense of direction, there are a number of factors we need to consider. Being well prepared. If we prepare our lessons carefully, we can keep one step ahead during a lesson and always have activities ready. Designing activities. One of our most important rules is an activity designers. Much of the success of a child-centered lesson depends on the appreciation of the activities. If we integrate fun and purpose into our activities, we can strengthen each child's sense of direction. If we separate fun and learning, we may weaken it. Selecting appropriate targets. We select language targets based on an understanding of what the children have already learned. These targets are either words or patterns the children need to be practiced more, or they are new words or patterns the children can make successful guess about. Drawing children in. Both the activities themselves and the new words or pattern they contain need to be explained clearly at first. Presenting quickly and clearly doesn't involve the children enough. Instead, we throw them into an activity building up their curiosity, giving a feeling of accomplishment. The aim is for the children to be puzzled by the new words and patterns they encounter in the activities and be interested in solving these puzzles. After having a lot of fun, they are successful and feel a sense of accomplishment. Providing help. If we are active helpers, then how exactly do we help during the lesson? First is answering questions. We design activities so that children see new words and patterns as puzzles to solve while they are playing. Sometimes they will be able to solve this puzzle by themselves, such as turning a picture card over and reading the word on the other side. Very often, the only way the children can solve the puzzles is by asking us the question. Helping the children express themselves in English. At times during a lesson, the children may want to say something such as, "It's hot," and "My pencil's broken." We help them express themselves in English. They may first say these things in their own language and we can translate them into English. We may sometimes just have to guess what a child is trying to say. Scaffolding. We help the children build their English knowledge and their understanding of how English fits together. We do this by exposing them to language that is just beyond what they already know and by using language of this level naturally when we communicate with them. And hinting. The target was to get the children to talk about places they know, and our role was to work out a sequence of steps that would enable the children to complete the task. Every stage of the sequence was fun and achievable, and as the children got more and more immersed in the games, we could step back and just let the children use the language independently. So that's all for me, and for the next slide, will we continue with my friends.
Okay, I will continue the presentation today, asking and answering questions. Whenever the children learn a new pattern, they need to learn the question from either first or last very early on. For example, they can learn question like "What is it?" before or at the same time as "It's banana." And "What color is it?" before or at the same time as "It's yellow." Being valuable when answering questions, it is important to the children to see us as valuable human beings. If they see us as invaluable, they will be less likely to ask genuinely questions or speak out spontaneously and communicatively. Or if we know everything already, why should they try so hard to discover things for themselves. Why should they try to tell us things that they see us as already knowing? They are much more likely to take on the role of passive learner, following what you want them to do. How should we ask questions? Most teachers ask far more questions than the children do. It can help to watch videos of our own class classes to check if we are doing this. It also seems that the more questions we ask, the less the children have to say, especially if we ask closed questions that have right or wrong answer. Reducing dependency. If we want children who want to communicate in English, we must encourage them to learn in as independent a manner as possible. Dependency on the teacher. The children should not feel they are learning new words and patterns through us. We need to be careful to ensure that they want and meet new language targets before learning them. Where is the energy coming from? We may appear to be doing many child-centered activities, but we may be treating the class with our emotional energy. It does not matter how many fun activities the children are doing. This is not a child-centered lesson. Are we the emotional focus? We can easily undermine the children's ability to be independent learners if we are the emotional focus of the class. Dependency on material. One the worst things a teacher can do is have a textbook open through the lesson. Another is to always use flashcards to practice a particular language target. Textbooks can give much needed direction to a code, but they should be put into rather than overuse. Speaking out. The children need to practice speaking out by themselves. They can stand up in front of the class and talk about themselves. How the children see us. Gaining the children's respect. We all know from our school days that some teachers are respected and others are not, and most of us learned far more in the lessons where the teacher was respected. People sometimes say they respected strict and dominant teacher at school. Be competent. We need to walk into a class feeling we know what we are doing, and if we do not have this feeling of competence, we need to reflect on why and maybe get more training. Then keep the initiative. It is best of prepare more activities than we expect to meet during lesson. Hesitation about what to do next unless we pause on purpose to get the children more involved. Choosing activities can make the children restless and most some perfect for us. Start a lesson positively and safely. The beginning of a lesson is very important. Until we know a class well, we should start either with a safe classroom ritual that involves all the children, or with an attractive and non-threatening activity that settles the children down. and get all the children focused on the lesson. Next is be fair, recognizing our own preferences and biases is the first step to being fair to the children. We need to look closely at our feelings about individual children. Give all the children a feeling of success. Children who lose confidence often lose respect for us and start behaving then or become quiet. Keep calm. We need to keep a calm atmosphere in our relation. Then be honest. It's also important to be honest about our feelings. If we hurt by something one of the children has done, we can show that we are hurt. We can also be honest about how we feel about behavior. Know and respect the children. If we respect the and care about each of the children and treat each of them as special and valuable individuals, they are much more likely to have a positive attitude in our lesson and respect and care about us. This is having a positive influence. If we look back at the subject we succeeded or failed in at school, most of us will be able to point to the influence of teacher. We will remember how we were encouraged, encouraged of this curated by the attitude and personalities of our teacher. Children are very sensitive. If we are bored, nervous, have inner doubt about the materials we are using, or do not respect and love the children, this will all come across very clearly to most children. How the children see us. How can we know the children better? Every child we teach is a unique and special person with her own experiences and needs and her individual way of perceiving the world. Knowing the names. We should learn the children's names as soon as possible, then ask others. We also need to have conversation with people who know the children well, and then knowing what they have learned. It is important for us to know what the children have already learned about how deeply they have learned it. Then find out what gets them so involved. Perhaps most important of all, we need to know what gets each child emotionally involved in our classes. And then spend social time together. It can make a world of difference if we find time to go to the playground with children, visit their home, have a party with them, or just chat and have fun with them outside the school. Involving the parents. Every one of the children in our classes is an important member of some family. They may have parents who love them. They may be neglected or they may have no parents at all. Nevertheless, each of them has a real and fully away from our class, and they have parents or other family members who probably know them much better than we do. It is important to let the parents know how we intend to teach the children, what we intend to cover, and the lessons why. Teachers are not always good listeners. We can learn a lot from child parents, and we should listen to what the parents have to say. Maybe that's all from me. The next will be continued by my friend.
Okay, next. Keeping profiles. If you want to know the children better, find activities. Okay. If you want to know the children better, find activities they will enjoy. Talk and joke about their pets and for things, and help them relate the language target they are learning to subject that have real meaning for them. It can help to keep a profile for each child in our class. Example, the question for the children: what your favorite food? Do you have any brother and sister? What do you learn English? Etc. So teacher as reflective practitioners. Reflecting and targeting is a central part of it means what it means to be a professional teacher. In fact, it is a central part of learning anything and applies just as much to our children learning English as it does to us learning how to teach them. Possible target include lesson plan, target of a new vocabulary to be learned, and finishing that for a course book extra. How do we see the role of the children? From many aspects, the first, reluctant student. The children do not really want to learn, and we have to find ways to make them. So, next, receptacles. They are like empathy receptacles until we fill them with knowledge. Clay, we can mold them and shape them into what we want them to be. Next, customers, we should try to do what they want and keep them satisfied. Next, partner, we respect the children as equal and work with them. Active explorer, we see the children as individual trying to make sense of the English they encounter. And the last, democratic explorer, the children set goals and make choices. Okay, thank you for the question section. Do you have any question? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.